The fact that I'm here is pretty amazing. So what happened was months ago, I set up all my software to work on a completely different system. And then Zoom and a whole lot of other people came in and made these configuration changes that step by step started to make it almost impossible for me to do live. So it has taken me this long to actually get here. And then just setting up, a whole lot of other things happened as well. So I've got windows open all over the place here. But the point is, this is Ask Julian. I've been doing video for, gosh, now nearly 40 years, something like that. And I've seen so much happen over that time. I'm more excited about video now than I've ever been. And as you probably know, everything that I do is focused around a smartphone. But there's a lot in here. And I spend a lot of time answering people's questions. So I thought, why don't I start a live session where if you happen to be there, if in fact anyone is listening to me, maybe not. Maybe I'm speaking to a vacuum now because I've stuffed this whole thing up. That is quite possible. But if you are out there and you want to ask me any questions, then there is a chat window and you can pop your questions in the chat and I will answer them. And I'm hopefully going to be doing this every week. And I'm just checking. Seriously, the thing is, you might see, this is a very good example of the difference between live and pre-recorded, because when you see a lot of my videos, a lot of people say, oh, they look very polished, it all looks very good. But that's a process. That is the magic of video. I mean, that's the power of video, is that you can condense time and you can use all these techniques and disciplines and templates to make that happen. But live is a completely different story. And live, doing it like I am doing it now, which is a one-person operation, compared to back in the days when I was working in television, you would have a crew of people. Not just one crew of people, you would have a crew of people at this end and a crew of people at this end. You'd have a satellite link in between, and you'd just have this one person on camera, but they had a whole backup team behind them. So the fact that we can do this now blows me away. It's really quite amazing. But the level of commitment that you have to do it is if you're doing lives, you're doing quite well because you've got to make sure all this is happening and also think about content as well. So if no one is here, and in fact, if I have stuffed this up completely, my idea is that during the week, I'm always looking to the future of video and I'm looking at what's new, what's happening, who's using what's working, what's not. And so I am going to share some of that with you. And look at this. All I'm doing is dragging my keynote presentation out the way. That reminds me. See, we used to have these things right in the early days of TV called caption scanners. And what it was when you were looking at, if you're watching the weather and they have all these fancy weather graphics that are coming up, what's happening in, the weather in Brisbane, the weather around the country, it's all digital and fantastic. But back then what it used to be was a series of cardboard cards that the graphics department would make up, and they would all be stacked one in front of the other, and there'd be a camera literally filming them, and you would reach in with your hands and pull the front piece of cardboard out the way. And you just had to be careful that you didn't put your fingers down too far, because if you did, then your fingers would come down in the top of shot like that. But so that's how far we've come. But, sometimes just using simple techniques like that works really well. One of the big things people are asking me a lot, and I mean, I probably answer this question at least half a dozen times during the week. Let's have a little bit of framing here. Half a dozen times during the week, and that is captions. And so captions are those words which appear down at the bottom of your video. And number one, people get confused what they are because most people call them subtitles. Subtitles are things that you see in movies. So quite often you're seeing a foreign language film and it has the subtitles down the bottom. What captions are a literal translation of what you said, so word for word, whereas subtitles are an approximation. And quite often you see this in, remember the old kung fu movies? And there'd be like a whole lot of talking on screen in the foreign language, and one word would come up, maybe, underneath. So we're talking about captions. Understand that captions are now in their not infancy, they're in their adolescence now. And this is all moving fast. I remember 2 years ago, it was so difficult to put a caption on your video. And now it's becoming automated. AI, artificial intelligence, is just making this so much easier. I predict maybe in 18 months, 2 years' time, it's pretty much all going to be automated. It's becoming automated now, but the error is it's not perfect. It's actually pretty good, but it's not perfect. I would not want to trust putting my videos fully up at the moment to automatic captioning, and particularly a lot of it is accent based. So my Australian accent, you've got to get a program, and because these programs learn, and the more that you do it, the better they get. That all said, there's a new program, company business up there called Subly, and they do a pretty automatic translation, captioning of your video. So you upload the videos and you basically download captioned videos. And at the moment, the reason I want to tell you about it, it's free. So during COVID, and it's a new startup business that they want to get as many people on as possible. I've done a couple of videos with it. Let me tell you, they work pretty well. But what actually happens is it downgrades the video quality just a little bit. Now, if you're just doing this for online and social, then that's all fine. You're not going to have any problems whatsoever. But if you were wanting it for bigger screen, like if you were playing it on a big widescreen TV in the foyer of your business and you wanted the captions, I'd maybe think that this service may not be for you. But go check it out. I mean, it's a great service. Do you know about Filmic Pro? Filmic Pro is an app that you download onto your smartphone, iOS or Android. And what it does is it gives you control of your smartphone, similar to the level of control that you would expect on a DSLR camera. It's really quite amazing. I've got it on my phones. I use it on almost every video that I make. However, I only use a small percentage of the functions. I really don't go too deep into it. But one of the great things that it does is it enables you to manually control your settings. And it also gives you visual indication of proper sound meters and proper counters, and even something really simple like this. Like on most smartphones, you've got a red, your button to take the photo or start the video is a red button. It's the silliest thing in the world, because when you put it on, it turns to a different shade of red. I mean, red means it's recording. All video cameras and film cameras back in the day, when a red light came on, it meant it was recording. So these have even simple things like the button is white. So you know you're not recording, and when you tap it, it goes red, and so you get this visual representation. So this is out there. It's like about $20 or $25, depending on that's in Australian dollars. It's really a great value for what you get. I've just seen that there's another competitor out there, and it's called Beast Cam, BEASTCAM. And it's got very similar control features on it. Probably even in a sense it's a little bit more logically laid out, but it's about the same price. Just wanted to let you know that this is out there. And these are really useful tools, a good investment. I'm going to go in and have a play between both of them and come back and report a little bit more on that. Aha. This is called Big Softy. So there's a whole range of these little lights that are coming out, little video lights. I've had this one here. Don't even know the name of the brand of it. I think it's Sun Softy. I can hardly read that. I'll get back to you on what the name is. So dark in here. But these are these little battery-operated LED lights, and it's light, it's beautifully machined. I just love these. I mean, the fact that I can have almost a whole lighting kit in something, that's smaller than the smartphone itself. This is just coming out, and it's from an Australian designer. So the light on it, it's called Big Softy because it's actually like a soft light in that it's a completely diffused screen. There's misunderstanding around what a soft light is because this is only small, and a soft light needs to be big in relation to what the subject being filmed is. So, God, how can I explain that in simple language? So if I had a coin and the coin was next to, why don't I use this? And the coin was next to this, and this was the light source, that would be a soft light for that coin because the coin is small and this area is big. Right? But if I use this light on a car, it's not a soft light anymore because I've got to get it further back, and it means the size of this in relation to the car is very small. So it becomes almost like a pinpoint of light, which is a hard light. So don't be confused when you see something written as soft light. Oh, it's magically I can use this and put it a long way away from me and it's going to create this soft light around me. No, it becomes a pinpoint of light. However, if you're using this on your smartphone and if you're using it about an arm's length of way to do a selfie video, this is really quite nice. But most of all, what I really like about this is it's got this clip, and you can put this clip directly on your smartphone or on your laptop. Brilliant stuff. Just love it. And again, this is all becoming so much easier now. The fact that I could have my smartphone and I could have a great little battery powered light. Now these things run on full brightness for well over an hour or something like that. And they just charge on USB. So I could have that and that. Then you could have something like this as well. Oh, I'm so excited about this. This is called Grav Grip. Camera stabilizers, you may have seen them. In fact, I have one here. These things, they're called gimbals or camera stabilizers, and you put your phone in there, and they come in larger models. You can put a DSLR on, and what they're wonderful. You switch them on, and they're like a gyroscope. And what they do is enable you to get these buttery smooth shots. I virtually never used this. It's a pain. I've got to take it out. I've got to keep it charged. I've got to fiddle it in there and carry it round. if that's your gig, walking around getting buttery smooth shots, go for broke. But it's just an extra thing that I have to worry about. And one of the things that I've always loved and always built into everything that I've done with video is to keep things battery free if possible, windproof, waterproof, because things break down, and the simpler that they are. This came from my Army sniper days. They used to teach us is that simplicity leads to reliability, leads to a greater chance of success. Simplicity leads to reliability, leads to a greater chance of success. So by having all those that simplicity built in, it just enables you to get content out to the people who are paying you to produce it. That person might be yourself these days who's paying you, but it's all about delivery. So there's this company that are making this thing called GravGrip, and what it is, it's a battery-free, lightweight, completely waterproof little camera stabilizer. Let me just go to, so there you go. You just can attach it to the end of your selfie stick or whatever, and you can just get these buttery smooth shots. But the size of it, the fact it's all battery free, I love. So I'm just trying to find, oh, here, look, it's like going into the back pocket down here, this really tiny little size. So the fact that you could have something like that and this light and your phone, and then just a very simple little clip-on lapel microphone, like a Rode SmartLav, you've basically got a whole camera kit. And and when I say it fits in one hand, I mean it literally does fit in one hand. And this is just so exciting where this is going. This is why I get excited about smartphones, is because when you look at all the camera technology from the last, I don't know, since the dawn of time, well, let's just say the time that I've been in it, there's really not been much difference from a box, and in that box you had a piece of film or a digital sensor, and then you had a lens on the front of it. And not much else has happened in that time. Sure, there's been, some little improvements and stuff. But what is happening with smartphones is that you just have a little lens and you have a sensor in there, but now you have all this computational power, artificial intelligence, and as computational power gets better and artificial intelligence get better, then you get all these added extra improvements of what you can do in a smartphone and all the apps that you can get in a smartphone. So, let me see this one here. No. Aha. So check this out. This is what is happening with computational power. One of the problems with putting a wide angle lens on a camera, but particularly in a smartphone, is you get massive distortion around the edges. So there's this company now, and this will all be standard on your phone within a couple of years. So that's a normal view, but then if you go to a wider view, instead of things really starting to twist and getting distorted, the AI and the computational power keeps everything nice and, in a sense, all your straight lines fairly straight, and instead of distorting the head and the body. But then it goes out. Look, this is in super wide, and you can see it's still, you'll always get some distortion, but in what they've called hyper wide here, you still get these amazingly good shots. And this is what I only dreamed about having 20 years ago. So all this is available. And look at this. Okay, let's have a little look at this.
Meet Insta360 Go, the world's smallest stabilized camera. Go is made to move. Its magnetic body lets you shoot from your point of view.
Put this little thing clip it on yourself anywhere
No
you want,
bulky
and you
mounts.
tap it,
Just
and it gives
hands-free
30 or
shooting so you
60-second
can focus on the
clips.
good stuff.
But just amazing. It can charge from your smartphone, and it's all stabilized as well. And you can do time lapses and hyperlapses. I'll talk about what they are at another time. But again, this is just so much stuff happening out there. And I found this. This is the police are now using, like they have those little camera-mounted, shoulder-mounted cameras, and they record all the interactions during their day. A lot of them are now starting to switch to smartphone-based ones, which they can just clip inside their uniform. But the thing is, it's broadcasting direct as it's happening back to a central database. The applications for policing there and getting approval to do things. And I mean, there's a whole range of stuff going on there. But it's just so exciting where all this is going. So that is the first of Ask Julian, and all I did was talk, but that's okay. That's okay. This is something that we build. It's about putting yourself out there. It's about testing. The thing is, hey, I might do this 10 times and not one person asks a question. And that will pretty much indicate that nobody wants to ask Julian a thing. And that's okay. Fail quickly, fail quietly, move on to the next thing. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to go see if I can see that Annie Leverington, I've just actually looked, and she was on for a while. Thank you so much. So actually somebody is seeing this. So that's fantastic. There's step one of the journey. And I am going to find where the finish button is and say goodbye, and hopefully see you all next week. Hooroo.